Dhyaana-yoga-bodhinyai Namah. Bodhini means one who teaches. Bodhinyai, to the one who is the teacher of Dhyana Yoga. Guruji Swami Tejomayanandaji gave a beautiful definition for what is Dhyanam. Dhyanam nama swarupasya sahajam banam uchchate na karma vishesham va sagunopasanam japaha. What is called Dhyanam? What is called meditation? That is sahajam banam swarupasya. Natural abidance in one's own nature. Spontaneous, effortless being with oneself. Yes, Swamiji, in sleep I am doing that. So otherwise we are always in something, doing something, thinking about something. We are not with ourselves. We are physically there, mentally somewhere else. Even now, she's thinking about food there. And she's thinking about school on Tuesday, so Monday can sleep late. Somebody else is something else. So we are always physically here, mentally somewhere else. Sahajam ban. Natural abidance in oneself. Na etat karma vishesham. It's not an activity. Na saguna upasanam. It is not a worship of God. Na japaha. Not even japa. These are all preparations. These are all preparations. It is like you cook the food, you go to the market, you bring the vegetables or take it out of the fridge, whatever. Then cut the vegetables or ask your husband to do it. And then you start cooking. After all that is done, when you sit down to eat, that eating is just enjoying the product of what all you have done. You have done all the preparatory work and now you are just enjoying the food. Many times people say, no, when I cook Swami, I don't feel like eating. Right? So I never have that problem. But if you have done all the work and sit down to eat, at that time you are enjoying the result of all that you have done. In the same way, Sagunopasanam or Puja, Japa, these are all preparations. Many times we do all the preparations, but when it comes to meditation, we'll get up. Puja ho gaya? Chalo. Arre, puja ke baad hi sab hota hai. After you finish Upasana Puja, only the actual experience of being with the Lord takes place. When then you quietly sit down, having offered everything to the Lord, having done your prayers, and now invite Him in your own heart, be with Him. That's what we don't do. Prasad ke liye everybody runs away. So it is like after cooking, you are not eating. Think about it. After all this cooked, you put it in the fridge. Yeah. Kal ke liye karenge. Kal ke liye abhi cook kiya hai. Now, so if you are cooking and then sitting down to experience it. So Dhyanam is coming as the 6th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita after he explained about Karma Yoga. Because Karma Yoga is preparing the mind for being quiet. Arurukshor munir yogam karma karanam uchyate. So, Karma Yoga is meant or taught for those people who are wanting to meditate. Karma is not for meditation, karma yoga is for meditation. Because the purpose of karma yoga, as Bhagavan Krishna, is to quieten the mind. While one is ready to let go of the anxiety about the result of action. And in the 5th chapter, he also explained how the karma sannyasa takes place. Now one is ready for sitting down to ride over the mind. Until now, you are riding with the mind or riding behind the mind. Now we are riding behind the mind. Isn't that? Whatever our mind goes, we are running behind it. After some time, you will run with the mind. Then after that, you will ride over the mind. So riding behind the mind is karma. Riding with the mind is karma yoga. Riding over the mind is the culmination of karma yoga. That's called arurukshuhu. Arodam ichuhu. Arodam means to. Steep. Steed, like a horse. First of all, horse would not listen to you. When you go, it will just move away. When you try to get on, it will throw you out. So too our mind will not easily allow you to take over. So that's why Bhagavan Krishna gave all the instructions how to make sure that your mind is overcome. And once a person has gained the access to the mind, and he or she can, by will, by choice, can make oneself quiet. So when a person has reached that point, aru mo yoga arudasya tasya eva shama karanam uchate. Now it is the question of quietening the mind. How to keep the mind in one place. So, in the beginning of the 6th chapter, Bhagavan Krishna had started to talk about Gita, the yoga of Dhyanam. And as a lead to that point, in the end of 15th chapter, there was a statement. Sparshan krutva bahir bhakyan chakshushaivantare Pruvoho prana apano samokrutva nasa bhyantara charinau yatendriya mano-buddhihi munirmoksha parayanaha vigada icha bayakrodaha ya sada mukta eva saha. This is a statement he made. He always makes a seed point before he goes to the next topic. Looking at Arjuna. Do you have any question there? So a guru or a teacher should always put a kind of a question in the mind of the student and see whether that person is able to catch that. Many of us, when we don't listen properly, okay, batao kuch. So we don't think about it. So here he says, having kept the external organs outside, sparshan krutva bahir bhagyan, having kept all the various distractions of the mind outside itself, and thereafter, bhruvoho, chakshushaivantare bhruvoho, between the eyebrows, concentrating on the bhruvor madhye, there, prana apano samokrutva, nasa abhyantara charinau. Nasa abhyantara charina, meaning the prana and apana that are going on within the nostrils, focusing on that and keeping your mind focusing on the tip of the nose, etc. Yatendriya mano-buddhihi munir moksha parayanaha, keeping the liberation in mind, vigada icha bayakrodaha yassada mukta eva saha. One who is having given up all other desires, icha, baya, krodha, desire, anger, fear, etc. Now, having said this, and now he gets into the Dhyana yoga. Now, the preparation includes two things. One is while engaging in action, the preparation has to be done, and then sitting for meditation, preparation has to be done. Gurudev used to say, for half an hour of meditation, prepare 23.5 hours. Now, many times when people cook, and then bring it to me, I finish in 20 minutes. So, I always ask them, how long were you cooking? 3 hours, 4 hours, Swamiji. I feel very bad. You cooked for 4 hours, and I finish in 10 minutes. 10 minutes, if you finish, you feel bad, So I'll also eat for 3 hours. No, not like that. But after having cooked for 2-3 hours and you finish in 10 minutes, and then they eagerly look, how was it? Oh, yeah, it's okay. I said, at least tell it is good or bad. So, while engaging in action, what should be our attitude? We should think about that. And a very famous verse, karmani akarmaya pashet, akarmani cha karmayaha, sabuddhiman manusyeshu sayukta krishna karmakrit. Bhagavan has said this very clearly. It is very interesting. How is that? Please pay attention here. So, it is expected of a person who wants to be free or gain moksha, must see, while engaging in action, no action. And while in inaction, you should see action. Just ulta. Opposite. When you are acting, not acting. When you are inactive, you are acting. Think, how is that possible? So there are two ways of interpreting this statement. First one is, whenever you are doing any action for God, it's not an action. It's only worship. Please keep that very clearly in your mind. Any action you do for God is not an action. Meaning what? It has no result. So any offering to God, any action that you do as an offering to the Lord will not create karma palam. So what is that? Karma me akarma. Karma me akarma. Because here karma me na karma palam. There is no result of action when you are doing an action. Because you are not doing with ego. That ego is the one which holds on to the karma palam and the result and vasana, etc. So there is no vasana created out of that action. There is no karma palam that comes out of it, no result of action. So the karma me akarma ko dekho. Or, now this is understandable. The next one is akarma me karma ko dekho. So it is the karma kandins would say, when you don't do what you are supposed to do, there is a result. When you don't do what you are supposed to do, there is a result. Not doing causes result. How is that? Just like a student is expected to complete his project and send it to the school or submit it to the class. If he doesn't do, then you won't get the grade. So not doing also creates a problem. On this thing, there is a detailed discussion that goes on between Shankaracharya and the Karma Kandins. A lot of description. In this part of it, there's a lot of discussion. Only to say, what Shankaracharya comes to finally conclude and say, assert it correctly, is non-action cannot have a result. Non-action cannot have a result. And therefore, the second interpretation. The first interpretation is good. No doubt to half a point of it is correct. What is that? when we dedicate our action to God, there is no result. That is okay. That is karmani akarma. But non-performance of action, akarmani karma. In that, the interpretation is non-performance of your duty will result in sin. Which Shankaracharya says, no, I won't accept that point. Otherwise, what happens? Karma sannyasa will not be possible. That means the fourth stage of life is never possible. Everybody has to continue to work till the end of life. When do you actually take sannyasa? Because there is no end of duty. You have to do something or the other all the time, whichever be the stage of your life. So that means it is, Karmakandis would say, until end of life, you have to do action, which is not acceptable to Shankaracharya. Therefore, he puts a second interpretation. What is that? While you are engaging in action, understand Paramatma in you, the self in you, is not acting. Karmani akarma atmanam pashyet. While engaging in action, know that your prakriti is working. As much as, when you are at sleep, are you doing anything? You're not doing anything. But body is working. Breathing is going on. All activities are going on. You think that body is not doing anything in sleep? Lot of work is going on at that point only, because you are not interfering. It can accomplish lot of things at that time. Getting old happens at that time. Mostly. That's why children, when they grow up, suddenly they grow up, then suddenly they grow up. Night they grow up more. Whatever eaten, what food that you have eaten, that has to be digested. Circulation has to go on. Breathing is going to go on. The cellular changes that are taking place, all activities are going on there. So, even now, while our physical body is doing action, our mind is also engaging in various things. But understand, your soul, which is really the self, is just a witness and not engaging in any action. That you must notice. This ability to be aware of Atma as a Karta is truly the meditation. It's a preparation. So, Bhagavan Krishna had pointed out it in the 4th chapter itself. Start preparing that. What? Recognize the self as non-doer even while you are engaging in action. And when you come to a stage where you are not really doing any action in meditation, you will be able to easily stay there. If you are not prepared, suddenly when you sit down, I want to think about Paramatma. It will not happen. Definitely what will happen is snoring. Because you have not prepared the mind for it. So while engaging in action, remind yourself, Prakriti is doing, my body is doing, my eyes are seeing, my sense organs are working, mind is thinking, thoughts are going on, intellect is decision, all the decision it is taking, planning, thinking, scheming, all that. I am a witness, not doing anything, watching it. This is karmani akarma yapashyet. Second aspect is akarmani karma. One who is able to recognize that when I'm not doing anything, there is one who owns this. Unintelligently, something is owning up this state of actionlessness also. What is that? Ego. What does it do? I think I am not doing anything. I am in serene, shanta swarup. I hope people around me understand that. The ego is trying to be very active while you are not doing anything. Physically, you are not doing anything. But your ego is asserting itself that you recognize. That you should be aware of. That has to be overcome. Also, in the seat of meditation, there should be any ownership by the ego. Otherwise, that sitting will be a egoistic engagement. When I'm meditating, I hope people know that I'm meditating. Or you're anxious about the result of meditation. At the end of meditation, my face will be glowing. So ego is trying to own up that. I hope, when I come out of the meditation room and people look at me, Tejas will be there, Tejas. So this also you should remember. So what is that? While engaging in action, find out that or discover that the Atma is actionless. When you are sitting down actionless, recognize that ego is owning it up. This one who is aware is ready for meditation. Because he has prepared himself for meditation while even engaging in the world. By constantly being aware of the actionless self, and when he's not doing anything, sitting down for even a short period of time, he will be able to abide in the karma atma, because even while engaging, you are able to be aware. When you are not engaging, you are very much able to abide in that. At the same time, don't make sure that ego doesn't take over. Take over to own up. So there will be thoughts will come when you're sitting down quietly. I think yesterday it was not like this. So I think I'm moving forward. I'm progressing well. So all that, the ego tries to own it up. In the ego's nature is to own up anything that comes on the way. Possessiveness. So it is therefore, meditation is not an action, it is abidance. Now preparation. Bhagavan Krishna elaborately goes on the preparation mode. These are 4 things you need to prepare before meditation. This may apply to many people, but some people have a question about it. But anyway, I will state it as it is said in Gita. Brahmachari vrate stitaha. First one he says. Brahmacharya vrata has to be maintained. So when it comes to householder, moderation. When it comes to non-householders, it is complete abandonment. Celibacy is considered as the most important requirement for meditation. So in the case of the householders, it has to be very moderated. So that is the first thing he says. Second is yukta ahara vihara. In eating and movements of the body, there should be moderation. Extreme expenditure of energy in any aspect must be curtailed, controlled. Ahara is food. Gurudev used to say, ahara is not what you eat. All the thing that comes through your senses. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and all that. Also karmendriyas. So with respect to indriya, jnanendriyas, it is ahara. With karmendriya, it is a vihara. Vihara means activity, movement. So speech, movement of the body in the form of hands and legs, reproductive organ, anus, these are karmendriyas, and then 5 sense organs. These 5 plus 5, 10 should be moderated. This is second one. Then third one he says, karmasu yukta cheshtaha. Meaning in action, you must exert minimum. It doesn't mean that you stop working, but efficient working. It's always said that in action, a simple action also can exert you more. But in most of the activities, we should moderate our spending of energy. And that comes over a period of time. How to become very efficient. Like, for example, today's world, Most of our time is spent in talking. How much time? Because it's all free, no? The phone is there and go on talking. Middle of the night, call India and then talk to them for 10 or 2 hours. Then you're tired during the day. Or computer, or over the phone, or watching. These are all activities including, it's all karma only. So karmasu yukta cheshtaha. In activities, however you can moderate it. So this is a third point. Fourth point is moderation in sleep and moderation in being awake. Yukta swapna avabodha. In sleep, you should not be oversleeping, you should not be sleeping less. And at the same time, you should not be too much awake. Some people would say, okay, I will like to continuously work for 2 days and then one day I will sleep. That doesn't work. When you come to meditation, you have to be very careful about that. In swapana, that is sushupti, as well as in avabodha. This too, you have to moderate very carefully. Give enough rest to the body and the mind as is required. Don't overdo it. Don't do it less. Both are not going to help you. If you overdo it in meditation, definitely you'll sleep. If you overly awake, if overly sleeping, then whenever you sit down, mind think that you want to sleep. Because that is what you have been doing. In both the cases, it will be deterrent. These are all preparations. Now, there are 12 instructions on what to do in meditation or while sitting for meditation. First thing is, find a solitary place. Gurudev would say that you must have a meditation corner at home. Like you have Samsung corner, you will have to have a meditation. Is it Samsung? Name nahi hai, kya name? Samsung. You have Samsung corner, you have a Satsang corner. You must have a place where you have exclusively meant for only for meditation. Puja and meditation or quiet contemplation. So he says very clearly, yogi ekaki yunjida sadadam atmanam rahasistitaha. And don't declare to the world that you are meditating. Quietly. Early in the morning or late in the night, where nobody is really noticing you, at that time, you should quietly sit down. So start with 5-10 minutes and slowly you can increase it. And don't do too much also. This is the first one. Second one is Yada Chitta Atma. Because you have practiced earlier about keeping the mind without anxiety for the result, you will be easily able to sit down quietly without the mind running here and there. You can use japa or chanting the name of the Lord or having the form of the Bhagavan's picture in front of you, or listening to some stotrams or bhajans which are relevant to that particular God. So this will quieten the mind and keep it in focus. The third one is free of hope and possessiveness. Meaning, do not be anxious about the result of that meditation. Nirashi aparigraha. Nirashi means no particular seeking of result. And also non-possessiveness. This needs to be practiced even before that, because anything that we own or have it in our life are given to us for some time, it will be taken away after some time. So be aware of that. If you are overly possessive about someone or something, you will be disappointed. So nirashihi aparigraha. Then comes steady posture. Sthiram asanam atmanaha. Asana means posture, how you sit down. Not leaning back somewhere or having a support on the back. Making sure that your body is straight. Sthiramasana atmanaha. Then about the mind, he says, ekagram manakrutva tatra. There you have to keep your mind in one-pointed attention. Meaning, use the mind as like a sharp tool. Like you want to cut anything, you need to make sure that the knife is very sharp. So too, mind has to be one-pointed so that you can keep your thoughts in only one single point of attention. Ekagram. And make sure that you are doing this beginning stages of meditation for Atma Vishuddhaye, only for keeping mind devoid of all impurities. Any agitation of the mind is an impurity. Whether it's maybe anger or some kind of passion, some kind of greed, some kind of jealousy, some kind of anxiety. So he says, Yogam Atma Vishuddhaye. Make sure your head, neck, and body are in the straight line. Samam Kaya Shiro Grivam. Sama means same. Kaya Shira Griva. Kaya means body. Shira, he said. Griva is neck. It should be in straight line. Somebody will say, lie down? No, not lie down. Sit only. Lying down and doing is not correct. Then you will be lying on meditation, not actually meditating. And while sitting also, no movement. Dharayan achalam stiraha. Some people sit for meditation and they keep moving like this. No question of movement. Straight. In South India, in Tamil Nadu, there is a doll which moves. What is it called? Tanjavur. It will be straight only, but ding. So that don't have that movement. That is not correct. So when I was teaching in Sandipani, some of the students they're very forward going, some are backward going. I tell them, some of them will go like this, meditating. Some of them go behind. So not allowed. See, straight, no movement. Then eyes, what do we do with the eyes? See, interesting thing is, REM, you should know. REM, many of you know what it is. REM, sleep. And non-REM, sleep. Random eye movement. Random eye movement is not a sleep. Actually, when you have a random eye movement, you are not sleeping. Your mind is active. So non-REM sleep is called a deep sleep, where the eyes are not moving. So even in meditation, he says, Samprekshya nasigagram swam dishastan anavalokayan. Dishascha anavalokayan. Do not look here and there. Even with the closed eyes, make sure that mentally you are focusing on the tip of the nose. Mentally. Don't try it physically. Then eyes will not come out and then you will be in trouble. So you will be having a problem with So mentally, your focus should be on the tip of the Nasikagram and Swam Nasikagram. No, your own nose, not somebody else. Bhagavan Krishna is very clear about your own nose. Don't think about somebody else's nose. Your own nose. Make sure that your eyes are fixed on that. So 10th one is 10 instructions he are giving. So 10th one is, finally he says, keep your mind in me and keeping me as the goal. Matchittaha mat paramo bhava. Keep your mind with me and keep me as your goal. So these are the 10 instructions he gives for sitting in meditation. Clear? So very elaborately he goes on to this because he knows people want some kind of a practice. Others are all more theoretical. In Dhyana Yoga is more very coming to the very basic level of how to sit down, where to sit down, what to do. All these details he gives. Now sitting there, what you should do? Then the next topic is Mano-nigraha-pradeepikaayai Namah. He's talking about how to then take care of the mind. Now, one will ask, why should I control the mind? See, if you go to anybody, talking to anyone, or they won't talk about controlling the mind. They only talk about use the mind. Control of the mind is only when you know your mind is a friend and enemy at the same time. Bandhuratmatmanastasya vartedatmaiva bandhuvat. Anatmanasu satrutve vartedatmaiva shatruvat. This is a very famous statement. Atma atmanaha tasya bandhuhu. Bandhu means friend. If you are able to tame the mind, mind will become your friend. Untamed mind is an enemy. It will act like an enemy. Though with you, see, mind is not somewhere else. Think about an enemy living with you all the time. He is constantly trying to pull you down. See, if he is somewhere else, you can walk away from that person. If he's a neighbor, or he's at the office, or he's somewhere else, you can shut yourself and go. But this one is always there. If you can't befriend him, you are in real trouble. See, there is one book I read, there's a whole book is about the mind, how it can be a friend. Which is the book that? Untethered Soul. You should read that book. Very interesting book. Untethered Soul, where the whole book is about conversation with how the mind is conversing with you all the time. And it is telling you what to do. Because when I read that, I was really fascinated. Because constantly it is, commanding. And, even everything is quiet, it is talking to you still. All the time there is one fellow blabbering in you. That is the mind. Don't smile now. It is commanding you. Don't do this. Do this one. Don't do this. Watch Netflix. And now go to sleep. No, don't go to sleep. It's too early for you. Eat some sweets. Constantly it is telling you and you just obey. If anybody else you say shut up, you cannot shut up this guy. You can never say shut up. What are you saying? Shut up? Why should I shut up? So the book is very interesting. I read it and I started laughing, but that's what happens. And he gives a training of how to make sure your mind is quiet. So this bandhuhu atma atmanastasya yenaiva atmana jitah. Atma atmana jitah. If you have conquered the mind is your friend. Anatmanastu, one who has not conquered, shatrutve, being inimical, shatruvat, it will act like an enemy. Anatmana shatrutve parteda atma eva shatruvat. So do not ask, why should I control the mind? Because that is the only thing which is going to stop you to do anything. So what is the ingredient for the mind to become so active? Why the mind is so active? And why it is so difficult for us to control this mind? So here he says, desire is what makes the mind very active. A person who has overcome desire, his mind is completely tamed. The ingredient for the mind to become so active is a desire. Sankalpa prabhavan kaman tyaktva sarvan asheshataha. Only when a person is able to understand that desire is the ingredient for the mind to be so active, and that very desire comes out of fanciful thinking called sankalpa. And when we recognize the cause of a desire, and we stop there, Seeking happiness is nothing wrong. From what is the question? In you or outside you? Many people say, Swamiji, I am so bored, I am lonely, I need one extra Jantu next to me. So, problem is, I am not happy with myself. That's all you are declaring to the world. Ek aur Jantu hona chahiye. Jantu means what? Another living entity. It can be dog, it can be cat, it can be mosquito. It's not a mosquito, but a snail or a snake. So, without the company, we are not able to be with ourselves. Oh. So, this lady came to me and said, Swamiji, we want to live in another country. We want to live. So, I plan to live for 1 year in another country. Okay, that's very good. I said, very good. All the best to you. The problem is, Swamiji, I have 2 dogs. Oh. So what do you do with them? I said, who asked you to get that first? No, the Swamiji, mistake is done. You tell me what I should do. Why should I bother about that? Why should I bother? I said, you made a mistake, you just must understand that. So we cannot do anything. So happiness is not wrong, because everybody is seeking happiness, no doubt about it. But where? If it is in an object or a person, then you're caught there. Because that external things start dictating. You see that? The external things start dictating your mental state, or what you should do, what you should not do. All these things are decided by something external to you. That's why Bhagavan said, first thing, sparshan kirtva bahir bhagyan. Keep the thing outside first. So the mind needs to necessarily has to have this ability to understand that the cause of the problem is seeking the happiness from something else other than me, and that is the sankalpa. उसमें से ही काम का उत्पन्न होता है, and काम उत्पन्न हुआ, so mind will never be quiet. So therefore, first thing he says, Mano-nigraha-marga is sankalpa ko chodo. Meaning, do not seek happiness from anything outside you. This is very hard, but should be done. Mano-nigraha-marga. With that mind alone, manasa indriyana viniyamanam. The ability of the mind to control the senses is possible only when the mind has superiority over the senses. Isn't it? A boss, a higher authority is one who is able to control the lower level of people only when he is not commanded by them. If a boss is there and he is commanded by his subordinates, will he be a boss then? Bhasate idi bhasa. No. Who is the boss? One who is making others able to do the work. Not that they are commanding him. Similarly, if senses are commanding the mind cannot do anything about it. So, manasa eve indriya gramam vinyamanam. Indriya grama vinyamanam. The yamanam, or ability to control the senses, happen only when the mind says, no, I will not listen to your demands. I will give what you need, but not what you desire. The food is necessary for the body to function. The food should not become a habit, or the eating should not become an addiction. When food or eating becomes an addiction, then mind has lost it. Mind cannot, if it loses to the senses, it cannot command. So, Ability to control the mind, control the senses by the mind can happen only when mind is superior. Similarly, Dhriti grihitaya buddhya shanehi mana uparamet, manaha uparamet. And the command of the mind also should be overcome by Dhriti grihitaya buddhya, a determined intellect. A very determined intellect alone can keep the mind under control. Bhagavan Krishna says, your conviction about your goal, why you are sitting for meditation, should be very clear. It is not another activity. Please understand, it's another activity means then mind will postpone it also. Nay. The dhriti, the determination. Today, as per my schedule, I need to complete this 25-30 minutes of meditation. That is my dhriti, the determination. That determination, when it comes, only then the mind will obey. See, if I'm trying to learn, let's say, piano, right? So the learning of that will not take place if I do once in a while. Whenever I get a time, maybe once in 2 weeks, once in a week, you'll never be able to learn. You can learn anything only when there is consistency. And actually, mind likes that consistency. Then only it has a routine, a schedule. If it is once in a while, then there is no dhriti in your buddhi. And when there is no dhriti, there is no gati. There is no movement further. So then that is said. Then next fourth factor he says for Mano-nigraha is Atma samstam manakritva na kinchitapi chintayet. Keeping the mind by training in the self, and thereafter do not think of anything else. Keeping the mind in the self, meaning abiding in the self, thereafter no other thoughts can be allowed to come in. See, it is like when you are going to sleep, any other thing comes, you say, postpone it, tomorrow. Swamiji is coming, I'll call him tomorrow. Abhi nahi, मैं सोना चाहता हूँ. Anybody who calls also, you say, no. If it is not urgent, don't sleep. So if you can postpone things which are unimportant, so to any thought that comes, not important. And I'm not going to focus on this right now. So that, na kinchidapi chintayet, nothing else should be. And then the training of the mind did not take place so easily. Therefore, whenever the mind moves out of your control, yato nischarati manach sanchalam astiram tatastato niyamyetad atmanyeva vasham nayet. Whenever the mind by habit goes back to its original habit of wandering around, bring it back. Slowly bring it back. Bring it back again and again. That is a practice. Bhagavan clearly says, Vairagyena abhyasena grihyate. By dispassion and constant practice alone, this mano-nigraha is possible. Controlling of the mind is possible by dispassion and practice. And he gives the example like that of the lamp that is kept in a place, the flame of the lamp, how steadily it is in one point. Yata deepo nivatastaha na ingate sa upama smrita yogino yatachittasya yunjato yogamatmanaha. The mind of a yogi is so steady like the flame of a lamp which is kept in a place where there is no movement of air. Even you go to a temple where minimum air is there, you'll see the flame straight one point. You hardly see the movement there. Even though there is a small movement is taking place, but you will not see it. In the same way, the mind of a yogi is able to maintain its one-pointed attention on the self That's a beautiful picturization Krishna gives. The result of third one more also. One more Nama is also there. So anyway, I'll finish that third one also. Sarva-vidha-saadhaka-hitakaarinyai Namah. That is the third one which we'll see today, complete. So, we have seen so far what is Dhyana Yoga, what is Mano-nigraha. So, he says Sarva-vidha-saadhaka-hitakaarinyai Namah. Hitakarini means one who brings or one who causes good welfare for all the people who are trying to achieve the highest. Who is a sadhaka? Bhagavan Krishna gives a beautiful definition in one place. Samyak avastitaka sadhu. One who has a positive determination for one's own personal growth is a sadhak. He's actually a sadhu, and sadhu is one who has determined. But one who is developing such a determination is a sadhaka. A sadhaka begins his journey for one's own good, one's own betterment. But over a period of time, he or she develops the clarity. Where am I going? In the beginning, this goal is not clear, very clear. In the beginning stages, the goal seemed to be somewhere out, somewhere there. But slowly recognizes this goal I am seeking is the one which is very close to me. So, who becomes a sadhu? Samyak vyavastitaha sadhu. And one who is wanting to become a sadhu is a sadhaka. In Tamil and many other, sadhu means good for nothing. Sadhu hai. That is not the correct definition. Sadhu is not a good for nothing person. Sadhu is one who is good. Is good in everything, in the way he does. So what is the good resolve? What is the good resolve a sadhaka should have? Sarvatra sattva buddhihi. Increase of sattva is sadhaka's sadhana. Bhagavan Krishna says, Nitya sattva sto bhava. Why sattva is important? Because sattva sanjayate jnanam. Only when sattva is predominant, there is jnana. If sattva is not there, even when one listens to reads and everything, it will remain only as pustakastha vidya. The knowledge remaining only in the book. You are not hooked on it. Only book is there. You are not able to recall or bring that knowledge to your life. It will remain only. It is parahastam dhanam. And the money is in somebody else's pocket. You again and again look at your bank account. So much money I have got. Whether you have or the bank has. Bank is having and banking making more money out of your money, right? Isn't that true? You have only satisfaction, numbers. Who has the money? Somebody else. You are earning so hard and then give it to somebody to make money out of it. What do you have is number. No, but whenever I want, I can draw, That is the only mental satisfaction you have. In the same way, when I was teaching there in Sandipani, I told them, anything you read, you must take the essence of it and keep it in your mind all the time. Otherwise, when you finish your course here, 2.5 years course, when you go back to your center or wherever you go, somebody asks, what did you study for 2 years? Shh, look at the truck. Truck load of books are coming. That's what I read in 2 years. But कुछ है यहाँ पे अकल में कुछ नहीं है. It's in the truck only. So that's why whenever I know the Chinmayanandaji students say, today we will have, or tomorrow, next we will have test on chapter 11. Swamiji, don't do this to us. Why? Padani. Not studied. So you don't need to study exclusively when you are appearing for the test or whatever. While you are going through these verses, keep in mind what is the essence of this particular verse and all that. So here also it says, what is a good resolve? Sattva pravrittihi. Sattva vardhanam. So the constant growth, constant maturity of sattvic attitude in the food, first thing in the food, attitude towards people, speech, your interaction with the people, all aspects of it, there should be sattva. Slowly bring sattva, then you become sadhaka. So that increase of sattva will increase the knowledge, whatever is heard also become clear, and there will be more and more clarity seeking will take place. Not just reading, but more refinement of what you have heard. What you have understood, there will be more and more refinement. So this way, Bhagavad-Gita, whatever is said in 2nd chapter is again brought back in 18th chapter. Why? Because, introduction of a subject takes place in 2nd chapter, but in 18th chapter, he will clarify certain major important points. So throughout the Bhagavad-Gita, there are many places clarification takes place, and that is how Gita brings the correct understanding to all the sadhakas. Sarva-vidha-saadhaka-hitakaarinyai Namah. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkhabhat bhaved. Om shanti shanti shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Harihi Om.